Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about the power of fasting and prayer because I just think it's so important as Christians to be incorporating this into our daily walk with Jesus because it really is so powerful. And I think Christians should fast because when you deny the desires of your flesh, and the Bible calls them the lusts of the flesh, your spirit strengthens and you have more power over the things that are thrown at us on a daily basis. And one of those things is food, and Satan uses food as a distraction and it weakens us spiritually. And when I was coming back to the Lord and He was showing me things, this didn't all happen in one day or anything, but He started to show me where food was a distraction. And I used to follow all these recipe accounts on Instagram, and I just realized how much food was a big part of my life. I didn't even realize, but it was just one of those things that God was showing me that you don't need all this stuff in your life. It's just another distraction. And the other thing is addictions. It's fasting can break off addictions, and I mean some of those things can be like alcohol, pornsex. I'll spell those out so I don't get flagged. And things like gambling and gossiping. I mean, you can get addicted to literally anything, but yeah, my personal story about alcohol was, so this was a stronghold in my life, and this was absolutely an addiction, and I'm not ashamed of it or anything. I'm happy to answer anyone's questions if they want to know more about this, but alcohol, it's so easy to get addicted to, and especially if you've had trauma in your life and that sort of thing, and you don't know how else to cope, and you don't have God. But yeah, I went on a 5-day fast, and by the grace of God, He delivered me from this alcohol addiction. And not only that, I'm not even tempted. I'm not even tempted to have a drop of alcohol. It's just completely gone from my life, and yeah, I thank God for that every day. There are certain addictions that we need to break off ourselves to get closer to God as well. So Jesus said when you fast. He didn't say if you fast. And I just want to read Matthew chapter 6, verse 16. So this is Jesus speaking. He says, "When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do," which, like the Pharisees, "for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." So you're not doing this to look super spiritual and religious. You're doing it for God and to get closer to Him and to deny yourself. And there are all different fasts mentioned throughout the Bible, and I'll just mention a few of them. So there was Jesus went on the 40-day fast before He started preaching, and that was when He was tempted by Satan in the wilderness. And then there was, in the book of Esther, Queen Esther fasted for 3 days and had all the Jews fast at the same time because she was getting ready to go before the king unannounced, and knew that she was putting her life at risk, and things worked in her favor there. In the book of Daniel, Daniel fasted for 21 days, which a lot of people have heard about the Daniel fast, and he did it to mourn and seek understanding and receive wisdom from God about the vision he'd received. And then there was King David, who fasted when God punished him for having an affair and having her husband killed. He didn't let David keep his son that came from the affair, but David fasted in the hopes that God would change his mind, which he didn't. But yeah, that was another example of fasting. So these people are humbling themselves before God. Obviously, yeah, it's a little bit different with Jesus, but He's modeling. I don't think everyone needs to go out and do a 40-day fast unless, God directs them to. So there are many different reasons to fast and ways that you can fast. And for me personally, I like to do a 3-day liquid fast when I want to hear more clearly from God or get clarity or an answer to something. And I also sometimes just do like a 24-hour fast. That's a bit more manageable. And, I think if you're doing a 24-hour fast, 1 day a week, that's a good rhythm to get into. And I understand not everyone can fast, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But I've heard many people say the less you have, the more power it has in the spiritual realm. And so there are all different types of fasts that you can do at different times for different reasons. But Satan and his minions don't want you to know about the power of fasting, which is another reason he distracts you with food. But you'll see that when you fast, it's like a light switches on and your brain powers up and you feel sharper and clearer and so much closer to God. And I've listened to a lot of testimonies where God has given specific instructions to people to break off demonic strongholds in their life. And one example was a woman who God sent an angel to her to tell her to fast without food or water for, from memory, I think it was 3 days. And she said in that time, she heard the sound of chains breaking off her and she was set free from the demonic torment in her life. And you know, guys, we're in a spiritual battle. Day and night, the kingdom of darkness wages war against God's creation, and we are made in God's image. So when we choose to follow him and become his children, we become heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ. And that to me is mind-blowing. And Satan and his fellow fallen angels hate us because of that. So his goal is to drag as many souls as possible to hell and away from God. So this is a battle we can't fight on our own. We need to be in a close, surrendered relationship with God to push back against the kingdom of darkness, and fasting is just one of the ways that we can do this. And Satan doesn't want you to know about the spiritual things of God. He wants to keep you comfortable and distracted and addicted, anything he can do to keep you away from God. And Jesus he's always fighting for us and battling on our behalf day and night. So let's do our bit and help him out by saying no to the cheap, fleeting desires of this world that come from Satan, and say yes to the beautiful heavenly things of God, which can't compare. And I just want to read Isaiah 58, and this is titled True Fasting. Shout it aloud, do not hold back. Raise your voice like a trumpet. Declare to my people their rebellion, and to the descendants of Jacob their sins. For day after day they seek me out. They seem eager to know my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right, and has not forsaken the commands of its God. They ask me for just decisions, and seem eager for God to come near them. We have fasted, they say, and you have not seen it. Why have we humbled ourselves, and you have not noticed? Yet on the day of your fasting, you do as you please, and exploit all your workers. Your fasting ends in quarreling and strife, and in striking each other with wicked fists. You cannot fast as you do today and expect your voice to be heard on high. Is this the kind of fast I have chosen? Only a day for people to humble themselves? Is it only for bowing one's head like a reed and for lying in sackcloth and ashes? Is that what you call a fast, a day acceptable to the Lord? Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen, to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry, and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood? Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and he will say, Here am I. If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger and malicious talk, and if you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land, and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. If you keep your feet from breaking the Sabbath and from doing as you please on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight and the Lord's holy day honorable, and if you honor it by not going your own way and not doing as you please or speaking idle words, then you will find joy in the Lord, and I will cause you to ride in triumph on the heights of the land, and to feast on the inheritance of your father Jacob, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. And so this really shows the heart of God and the reasons you should fast and how your heart should be while you fast. So study that out for deeper understanding. I think that's a really good verse to chapter in Isaiah to keep in mind and to follow. So as I mentioned, there are many different ways to fast, and not everyone can fast from food safely for health reasons. So you'll need to fast in a way that is safe for you. You can start really small and just cut out one thing a day, or fast from coffee, skip one meal, or if there's a treat you have every day, just cutting that one treat out, or the Daniel fast, where you're denying yourself choice foods, but not foods altogether. So whatever you do, God looks at the effort. He looks at your heart posture and your reasons for fasting. Um, you can also fast from things like TV shows, movies, social media, and denying yourself that way. And during your fast, you're also seeking God's face every day. So going to your quiet place to pray, spending time with Him, praising and worshiping Him, which brings you closer to Him as well. So pick a reason for your fast and decide how long you want to fast for and the specifics. Keep it between you and God. Don't tell everyone you're fasting and make it a big deal. Keep it private as much as you can. You might want to get a prayer journal to jot down anything God reveals to you during this time as well. So, yeah, prayer and fasting combined is super powerful, and it's a strong weapon against the kingdom of darkness, and it breaks those strongholds in our lives. So, seek God on everything and give it a go. And I'll see you in the next video.